Sorry, Igor. Sorry about that. My camera froze for a second. I am going to now give you the presenter rights to continue with the presentation. So sorry about that. Just a second.
Okay. First of all,
Yep.
yes. First of all, let me welcome you on behalf of.
Igor, now you have the presentation rights.
Okay. Now I can change the slides. Yes. Very good.
Yes,
okay.
please. Yes,
Okay. Our participants, they do see our presentation. It's the main thing. So first of all, just one more time, let me welcome you on behalf of on European Technology Chamber. For those who are participating in our events for the first time, I would briefly introduce ITEC. ITEC, our device, our main goal and main position is technology obliges. What does it mean? So this is our mission, our two main goals: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. I have to add the chamber, the European Technology Chamber, was created within the framework of the European Union tasks under the SDG programs, organizes work on the exchange of information, promotion, and commercialization of advanced technologies with the involvement of leading experts in various sectors of the economy, including with special attention to the cooperation with partners in Africa, what is very, very important today. Here, please look at this very, very beautiful picture, and you see here our alliances that are organized in our chamber according to the following approach. There are regional alliances, for example, Africa Alliance or Germany Alliance. There are impact alliances and tech alliances. Yes, these alliances, these are like big working groups where people meet very often, discuss, make new contacts, and all these is leading to the main goal: commercialization of your projects. You can find here new contacts, new partners, and it can and should lead you to commercialization, to give you new business opportunities. We have a very wide, very, very deep toolbox, offline and online, and also online, yes? We have a very modern, very, very modern, our own base that lets us organize and help very many rich and interesting events, not only offline, but you see here, online events, yes? Just a moment. Okay, and we call it networking. So we are making this spectrum of opportunities. We have a virtual center, our own platform. We don't need anybody to help us here. Our own platform, very, very modern. Yes, we are calling it global network. Yes. We have more than we have hundreds webinars, hundreds working groups, and hundreds other events a year. And we are achieving our three main goals: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability on this digital platform. And we where we would be very, very glad if you attend us, and we are we are ready to tell you much more things, much more opportunities for your businesses. So thank you for your attention, and I wish you a very interesting, no doubt it will be so very interesting digital talk with Svetlana, with very distinguished speakers today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Igor, for the introduction. And see you later. So now I'd like to introduce our panelists here today, and as well as the webinar scope. Today we are focusing on SDG number 3, which is on good health and well-being. And good health and well-being are essential for a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. A robust economy relies heavily on a population with sound health, from clean and safe drinking water to clean cooking techniques and vaccination, to strengthen supporting school feeding, reinforcing nutrition and human capital development in Africa. Emerging technologies are crucial in transforming Africa's healthcare systems. Technology can help tackle the rising burden of disease and overcome major obstacles in infrastructure and environment in Africa, such as medical delivery through drones, while expanding access to equity to healthcare services. To fully support SDG 3 in making Africa a robust and resilient global partner and player, we will be discussing with the help of our panelists from Africa and beyond the tech solutions they are advancing in enabling Africa to have high standards of living and better quality of life. I'd like to introduce our panel today. We have Gita, who is a member of supervisory board. She joined Intervivos AG last year. Intervivos is an association of experts in the fields of medical technology, healthcare, and digitalization who are rethinking the healthcare industry. The business develops and offers innovative solutions, saving lives indirectly using cutting-edge technology. We have Caroline Bijo, who is an experienced leader at the intersection of global health, innovation, technology, and international development. She has extensive experience in driving complex program deployments in multiple countries, finding, testing, and scaling innovations, and developing new opportunities through public-private partnerships in emerging markets. We have Bhavan now, who has not joined us yet, but I can see he sent us a message that he's joining us. Is a clinical rehabilitation specialist, a digital healthcare ideologist, digital marketer, content producer, and information designer. He is in a role to enhance the reach of rehabilitation through digital technology in developing countries of Africa and Asia, and thrives to provide the most effective and efficient healthcare technology to end users. And Kasum, who is also our board member at the Africa Alliance, is an economist, a strategist, an intellectual, technology, economic, and social entrepreneur, motivated and committed for the global economic progress, the global sustainable development, and the universal peace promotion, with more than 21 years working experience with youth and women across Africa and the world. Is now dedicating all his life for the promotion and protection of human rights, women's rights, gender equality, the empowerment of women worldwide, in engaging men and boys. Before we start our discussion, I'd like to invite all of you to use the public chat to pose your questions and interact with the panelists as well as the audience here today. I am going to also leave in the chat my my contact details, as well as the Africa Alliance website homepage, and the LinkedIn page, so that you can keep updated with our work, the work that you're doing. To start with, Gita has already introduced Pamela. Smart, can you help me here? My keyboard is not working today. I don't know what happened. I think I pressed the shift button so long, so I cannot type. I'm trying to fix it in the meantime. But Pamela, there'll be a chance for question and answer later on in the chat, maybe after our panelists have made the introduction. And starting with Gita, Gita joined the World Health Organization Foundation in 2022 as Chief Impact Investment Officer. She's an investment executive with 19 plus years of experience in private equity, venture capital, development finance, impact investment, insurance across Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Europe. Gita was previously the CEO of Wequelitas Capital Partners and the lead impact investment practice. She advised investors, intermediaries, international development actors, and companies interested in creating and implementing impact investment and sustainable development goals related financing products. As a senior investment advisor to the UN Economic Commission for Africa, she developed the Africa Women's Leadership Fund, a fund of funds to invest in Africa, in women African investors, launched in 2022. Gita sits on the investment committee of Valeo Capital, which invests capital from the Botswana Public Officers Investment Pension Fund in growing businesses in Botswana. In addition, she is on the board of Okavango Capital Partners. Gita is a VC investor in Africa with a diverse portfolio. So I'm going to it myself, all right, and I'll upload the slides. Pamela, I'll answer your questions later on. Just a second, as give the floor to the panelists first, okay?
I'm so sorry for that. I think I just clicked it without knowing. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, sure. In the meantime, I can see Dr. Bhavan here with me. Just promoting to presenter before I put up your presentation as Gita. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, sure. I'm going to start uploading the presentation. I'll mute myself to minimize background noise. When you hear, when you see the slides up, please carry on with the presentation. So first I mute myself, then I upload your presentation, Gita, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Svetlana. Svetlana, I'll just wait for you to head back to slide number 2.
Banana, do you have a problem? Should I share the screen? Belana, can you hear me? But I would propose that if I can just step in 1 moment, Getha, I would share the screen. Sorry for this.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Of course. 1 second, please. Also come in again. Is it possible that you see it now, Getha? Is that okay? Like this?
I do see it. It'll be helpful if you just go into presentation mode with that.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
perfect.
Yeah.
And then on to the next slide, please. And
There
the
we
next
go.
one.
Just tell me next slide and happy to support.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So welcome everybody, and thank you for having me here today. I very much appreciate that. And to talk about something which is very, very important and near to my own heart. So as Svetlana had mentioned before, I'm on the supervisory board of Intervivos, a German company, which is a leading healthcare and diagnostics company. So whilst it's based in Germany, it operates across Europe and has got already the chance to significantly contribute during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has a strong network of partners and is now looking to build lasting impact in healthcare in Africa and also to bring their solutions to other emerging markets. There are 3 elements to the vision of Intervivos. The first is around innovation, and this is using innovative medical and diagnostic technologies to enable effective outcomes. So this is very much about efficiency. It's about the use of innovation for an outcome which is going to be impactful on more lives. And it does so first and foremost with the fleet of specialized mobile diagnostic vans, which provide open testing almost anywhere at any time. It has a autarkic energy supply, connectivity backup systems, and fresh water supplies, which enables them to operate laboratory devices in a lab safe environment and hard to reach areas. In fact, the first van has now been also taken to Africa in Nigeria with the intention of starting to roll out the services there. A second aspect of this is very much around the global vision to provide affordable solutions where they are structurally weak solutions currently. And the third element is really to focus, and that is focus on the health of humans by tackling the most urgent diseases with extensive diagnostic portfolios and to prevent the need for a treatment, which is really trying to bring more efficiency into the healthcare space. If you can move to the next slide, please. Just a slide before that, please.
So, but it is when I press the button 1 time. Are you sure? Like this?
Sorry, Marcus. I think you might have an old version of the document. You should be seeing a slide which has a map of Africa and the title Health Tech Funding in Africa.
1 moment, please, because I used the one which Svetlana shared yesterday, no, 19.4. So that
Should be
was
the one she shared this morning.
okay. I need to look for it 1 moment. I can spot that. But we are flexible, aren't we? So
We are.
let's see. I received the same mail. Wait a moment. There we go. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I see it now. 1 second. I share again.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was not aware that there is a new version. So, slideshow. That's the one, yeah? Is that right?
That is indeed the one. Thank you very much. And so what I want to do is over the course of the next 3 slides, walk you through what the state has been when you look at investing in Africa. And over this time period that we're discussing, we're talking about 3 potential maps that I'm going to take you through. The first of which is looking at the amount of health tech funding that has gone into the continent, at least on a stated basis, looking at healthcare management. And as you can see, it's quite diversified with a strong focus on the 4 key markets within Africa, being Egypt, South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. If you go to the next slide, you will see a diversity of investments that have been made, again, between 2013 and 2019 in telehealth. And this is showing a greater diversity also across the whole of North Africa. You see a number of transactions in Ghana, Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Mauritius, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda. The third slide takes us through, this is slide 4, the medical supply chain. And so these are 3 key areas. The medical supply chain is looking at e-pharmacies, medical deliveries, medical clinics, and emergency response. And so you start to get a sense of the fact that the investment space, especially when it comes to health tech in Africa, is quite diverse and has been growing over time. As we move to slide 5, the point that I wanted to touch on here is, if we can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. The share of funding raised by health tech startups in Africa still remain about 10% or less than the amount of capital that has been raised by businesses. So health is still relatively small, but in that, what we have seen over the last 2 years has been, excuse me, has been a reminder of the criticality of investing further into the provision of health services and health goods. So if you look at this, what you see between Q1 2019 and Q1 2021 is the growth of funding raised by health tech startups in Africa. If you look at these numbers, they are a drop in the ocean compared to what has been raised and invested in Europe itself. Last year, just by one account, the amount that was raised in AI health tech in Europe almost touched $400 billion. So the numbers that we're looking at here are much, much smaller, but nonetheless critical for the continent. If we can move to slide 6, please. So when you look at the health opportunity in Africa, it is definitely one of inclusion. With a continent with over 1 billion people, the opportunity really lies within ensuring that you are reaching a wider number of people with the provision of goods and services. And the continent is and has been emerging as a real arena for digital health innovations. And these are focused on service delivery across income levels, the strengthening of healthcare systems, as connected members of the overall ecosystem, and beyond the age of COVID, with a greater focus on disease surveillance and prevention. And so when we look at this and the disruption that has been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, the reality is that it has highlighted gaps and weaknesses, some of which have existed for a long time in the African health system. But the opportunity here is really seeing much more asset-light solutions to be able to address these gaps, as we see a greater commitment to technology infrastructure on the continent. And over the course of the last 2 years, as we've seen globally, all of us have had to become a lot more technologically integrated with the provision of services and goods. So when we look at the opportunity, they really are more than 60 new and existing private firms, including Intervivos, distributing health products to consumers just in one specific area. And so the opportunity set here is one which is rapidly growing, but it is not one that is easily defined. It allows for a greater entrepreneurial spirit to be brought to addressing the market. And the solutions that are sought and the solutions that are being provided through the innovative startups across the continent are really ones which balance the commercial models to transform health product distribution, diagnostics, and prevention together with impact. And so together, those are the things which are going to be contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal number 3. As we move to slide number 7, I'm going to touch briefly and quickly on the challenges for scale and for scaling up and sustainable growth when it comes to investing in health tech in Africa. So the enabling environment for digital health solutions and interventions is a critical one. And to a large extent, the enabling environment is one that is outside the immediate hands of an entrepreneur or of a business that's coming from the EU into the continent. And the areas that this touches upon are innovations, young people. We have, by 2030, we will have the youngest population in the world and the largest population of people in the workforce. The infrastructure is also something which is critical here, and that includes logistics, leadership and governance, strategy and investment, public-private partnerships, very much similar to what exists within Europe today. So given the context of the conversation we're having with the chamber here, there are a lot of similarities in terms of the role and the possibility for health tech within Europe, and what does that mean for expanding upon the solutions that are needed and are already in place to be scaled in Africa. The other set of challenges are really around the barriers to access of digital health solutions and interventions. Here, you often have a urban-rural divide and a gender divide, and this is very much compounded when it comes to connectivity and access to the internet as a start and to mobile devices. That is something to take into account. The second element of this is the limited content in local language. With a continent as diverse as Africa, ensuring that there is sufficient solutions which are being provided in local languages are also important. There is, and in certain areas, a very low digital and functional literacy and high costs for internet access. Unfortunately, Africa today has some of the highest costs when it comes to internet access. And they are often disrupted and limited access to electricity, which affects any digital solution that you want to get in place. Now, when you look at that, it calls for solutions, digital health solutions, which are very client focused, even more so than almost anywhere in the world, and ensuring that there is that integration with healthcare providers, health system managers, and data services for healthcare as well. The effect of these digital health solutions and interventions are directly related to health outcomes. So when we look at these challenges, it is about making sure that these businesses are and remain being effective, that there's greater efficiencies that are in place, and that the quality in the health facilities are being improved upon, and that there is aggregation of health data for policymakers. Otherwise, what happens is private businesses are operating in a vacuum, which is not helpful to be able to move the space forward. Disease management and prevention is a matter of national care. And this is something which has become even more clear during the time of the pandemic. But within Africa, there is a very clear responsibility that is taken by local governments in terms of ensuring that their approach to public health when it comes to disease management and prevention is very carefully considered. Patient tracking and safety, there are opportunities within that alone, and we've seen businesses emerge in the health tech space out of that. Many African countries are implementing universal health coverage, some of whom have already got universal health coverage. What that means is you have the possibility to provide services, to provide goods, and actually have a route to payment for those who otherwise would not necessarily be able to afford these services, as it would be covered by universal health coverage as well. And so the key considerations here when we talk about the challenges for scale up and sustainable growth is limited access to health facilities of the right quality, digital literacy, disruptions in medical equipment and drug supply chains, but that has affected all of us globally over the last 2 years, as we've seen. The fourth element here is interoperability of the numerous digital health systems to make sure that they speak with each other. And the final is resources and funding. If we can move to the next slide, please. So what does it take to unlock the opportunity? What it requires is an ecosystem approach and really a commitment to good health and well-being. With healthcare more than almost any other sector that is out there, any other industry out there, it is really important to ensure that you are operating not on your own. you are there within the ecosystem, and that you are delivering a good which is recognized to be a public good. So even if you look at universal health coverage, and I'll not, in the interest of time, I'll not go into this in great detail, there are opportunities along every aspect of the value chain here, whether it is working with resilient communities, whether it is trying to build a resilient health system, which is broader than that of your own specific company. It is ensuring that the sustainable digital health technologies and that they are talking to each other, and that the information that is being given is something which can be used to improve the performance, not just of the company, but also to improve the health of the lives of the people who are being affected. So as we move to the last slide here, which is slide 9, I want to sort of take a moment to reflect on what we think are the most interesting areas to go into, as this was one of the questions that was asked. So of the health funding, health tech funding that has taken place so far between 2016 and 2021, there's 6 areas that most of this has gone into: e-pharmacy and medical supply chains, doctor booking, telemedicine, biotech, EMR, and diagnostics. This is where the bulk of the funding has gone into. And within that, there are certain companies which have gotten the bulk of the funding within that as well. So the opportunity that is there within the continent today is far broader than these areas. Key trends that we see, the 5 key trends that we see going forward. The first one is around continued digitization. The second is around healthcare management. The third around telehealth. The fourth is deeply going into the medical supply chain. And the fifth is health financing, insurance, and risk sharing. So as you consider whether you are on the Africa side or you're on the Europe side, the opportunity within investing and building businesses in the health tech space in Africa, while the opportunities are vast, it requires a more thoughtful consideration in terms of how that is approached, ensuring that there is a calibration of the public good that is provided by your health services, as well as the balance with the commercial model that you're going with. Thank you very much.
Svetlana, you said you are back. First of all, Getha, then thank you so much. I think this is extremely insightful. Especially, I like that you very much have structured the sectors where health makes sense, or where investors also take a look into it when it comes to funding. And I would just like to make also here, well, perhaps not an announcement, but an expression of interest, because we are also interested to set up, hopefully soon, one alliance which will address the health sector as such. And so we'll see what comes. So it will be great to have a talk with you after on this aspect, sure. Svetlana, are you back? You need to unmute. Svetlana? Cannot hear you. Then I would say we just continue here, not to lose time for all the guests we have, and especially for the speakers who took the effort to prepare for today. So if you don't mind, we will go to Bhavan, and I will...
Can you hear me now? Sorry, I've joined the audio again. So our next panelist, thank you so much, Marcus, for the support, and apologies for the technical hitch of IT. Thank you so much for the support that you've given me. I'm back now. And then thank you, Gita, for for your presentation. We'll now move to Caroline. Caroline was with us earlier, and I can see that she's still with us. Can you now mute? Maybe you will have your camera on. As I introduced earlier, Caroline is an experienced leader at the intersection of global health, innovation, technology, and international development. And Caroline is a board member of Equalize Health and D3 International. She's also the CEO of Amref Health Innovations. Caroline, please.
Thank you, Svetlana. So, hello, warm greetings from Nairobi in Kenya. I'm delighted to be with you today. And as introduced, my name is Caroline, and I work with AMREF. AMREF Health Africa is a health development nonprofit headquartered in Kenya and working in Africa since 1957. We are currently implementing about 195 different health projects across 33 countries in Africa, reaching over 12 million people directly and millions more indirectly. Our annual budget in 2020 was around $180 million, and our focus is on SDGs 2, 3, 5, 6, 13, and 17. So at AMREF, I work with AMREF Health Innovations, which is an entity that focuses on finding and scaling impact sustainably. So some of the questions Gita was asking around how do you work in Africa, considering that there are many different countries, policies, languages, governments, etc., to work with. Our role really is to answer that question, to support entrepreneurs from within Africa and from outside Africa to be successful with the solutions that they are developing. We deploy our own digital platforms using commercial models and support many other entrepreneurs to access the African market. So I will start by sharing my perspectives of the opportunities in Africa's healthcare market using four key indicators. The first one is around life expectancy at birth. Over the past 2 decades, say from the year 2000 to 2020, life expectancy in Africa has moved up from 50 in 2020 in the year 2000 to 61 in 2021. This increase in longevity in Africa is due in large part to reductions in childhood mortality, in access to medical treatment for HIV and AIDS, and improved nutrition. But despite this progress, the average life expectancy in sub-Saharan Africa still remains far lower. It's the lowest in the world, over 10 years lower than the world's average of 72. The second indicator is around new health threats. So as the continent continues to tackle the last century's epidemics like HIV, new health threats are emerging. And as, of course, the population gets older, the prevalence of NCD, such as cancers, heart disease, is rising. NCD risk factor surveillance in Africa indicates that most adults are exposed to at least one risk factor for NCDs, most adults in Africa. And adding to the NCDs health threats, I would also add issues like mental and substance use disorders, things like inclusive healthcare that takes into consideration things like age, sex, gender, disability. Those are just things that are emerging from the continent. The third indicator would be around access. So when I speak about access, we are talking about everybody, and I mean everybody should be able to access basic healthcare, which includes not just curative, but also preventive, promotive, and palliative care. And that is yet to be realized for most Africans. If I give the example of Nigeria, over 5,000 people leave Nigeria every single month for various forms of treatment abroad, which is about to the tune of 1.2 billion US dollars being lost from the Nigerian economy because of medical tourism. So the fourth indicator is around health financing. So according to WHO, Africa makes up 16% of the world population. It carries 23% of the global disease burden, and yet it accounted for just 1% of the global health expenditure in 2015. In per capita terms, it means that the rest of the world spends 10 times more on health than Africa. In 2016, close to 40% of Africa's health expenditure came from out-of-pocket expenses. So this has significant implications for households, and meaning poorer households generally bear the highest burden of disease, but also experience the higher levels of financially crippling expenses. So this all sounds very gloomy, but it is not. Indeed, these challenges are the opportunities that are open for entrepreneurs to address. So in recent years, there's been a large number. I mean, Gita spoke to this really well. A large number of technologies, of innovations targeting both individual level and population level health gains. These include things like digital learning platforms. I'll just mention a few of these: the LEAP platform, the JIBU platform, who offer training to health workers, who provide health literacy for populations. We have organizations like Rocket Health, MyDawa, Zipline, addressing the last mile service delivery. We have a lot of med tech firms such as Neopenda, Equalize Health, who are building and deploying equipment for low resource setting. We have organizations such as 3MAG, who are doing genetic sequencing for Africa, and we have countries like Nigeria, like Kenya, like Ethiopia, who are putting in place social health insurance, providing financial risk protection. And we also have private sector insurtech companies like Bima, like Lima, who are also playing in this space. So because transformation happens at scale, the next question is really, how do we scale innovations that prove to be impactful? And I have maybe three and a half suggestions. One is around financing. How do we crowd in blended finances from various sources, including government taxes, grants, philanthropy, impact investing, outcome payers, commercial loans, etc., into this space that requires a significant level of investment? Two, I would talk about the enabling policies and regulations. For instance, there's a lot of work being done around private sector partnerships across many of the African governments to really incentivize private sector to come in and play in this space. The third is around government leadership and coordination. And there are really good case studies from countries like Rwanda, countries like Ethiopia, really showing how the role of leadership and coordination and what role it plays in enabling meaningful investment, meaningful innovation. And my maybe last one is around the fact that Africa is not a country. Most of the time when we speak of Africa and innovating for Africa, we think of it as one homogeneous continent, but it isn't. It is many different countries, many different languages, many different cultures, and how do innovators ensure that their product is speaking to those things as they're innovating for the continent. So I will stop here and happy to discuss any of these issues further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Caroline had said that she would talk through the presentation today, and you've done so very well. Now, I'd like to introduce our next panelist, Dr. Bhavan, who is now joining he's on audio right now, but he's going to go out and come back with microphone. Dr. Bhavan, can you see a microphone icon on your screen on the bottom center? If not, maybe you'll have to get out and come back and join with the microphone. In the meantime, I'm going to do an introduction. I can see you speaking, but I cannot hear you. I've asked IT to support you in that. So we'll give you a second or two. In the meanwhile, I'm going to like to introduce Dr. Bhavan. Dr. Bhavan is an established advanced rehabilitation center in Kenya and also consulting in Eastern Central African countries to provide robust advocacy and ideology to provide the most efficient rehabilitation and healthcare services. Lastly, he has worked as a specialized rehabilitation professional at MP Shah Hospital, Nairobi, Kenya. He has been also involved in conducting clinical and non-clinical educational webinars to spread awareness in untouched areas in the Pan-African region. Being working for the vulnerable is his priority, and thus is helping Hands to Touch Healthy Foundation and Stroke Care International given immense platform to perform such humanitarian duties towards the society. Now, I know that you're not in Kenya anymore, but you're going to give us insights of your work in Africa. and the best practices. I'll give you a second or two to join with the microphone, but if not, maybe I'll just start with Kasum and then we'll circle back with you later on as I'm supporting you in that. As I'd already mentioned, Kasum is our board member at the Africa Alliance. I'm very happy to have you here today, Kasum. And he has obtained an associate degree in economic and development at the University of Bouquet, Cote d'Ivoire, bachelor and master's degree in management at the University of Bamako in Mali in 2000. He has also obtained a postgraduate diploma in human rights from the Center of University in Geneva in 2008, a certificate in mineral policy and contact negotiation from the University of Johannesburg in South Africa. Mr. Kasum speaks both English and French. Kasum, I'm going to upload your slides, but in the meantime, I'm going to mute so that I can prevent some background noise. And then when you see your slide presentation up, please take the floor, okay?
Yes. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you very much, Svetlana, and thank you to the previous panelists who already present a great speech and information about the topic we have today in our panel. And I'm very happy to join you today and share a bit more about this SDG3 driven tech solution for healthy African households. And as next slide, please. Yes, thank you. Our company called Group Kasum Kulwali, who is my name, is a company who is focused on promoting investment, technology, and also sustainable development in Africa by facilitating cooperation between both sides, companies from Africa, trying to go outside the continent, but also companies in outside Africa who want to enter in the African markets. And we are committed to support those activities by also promoting human rights and women's rights inside the continent. We provide some services about administrative, law assistance, project development, accounting service, communication, and also diverse activities that can facilitate marketing service inside the continent. We, as a private company, we have also a focus on the social development also, but we have also invested in the social enterprise called the Global Institute for Women's Empowerment Group. That's why I'm also focused on the promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. I will talk about more when we are talking about the opportunities we can have in that sector. Next slide, please. We are based in Mali, especially, but we work in all African countries. Next slide. Next. With the technical issue, I will continue with my own board here. What I am thinking about this topic we are discussing today, I think that technology is transforming healthcare. Technology is transforming how healthcare is delivered in Africa, giving more people the remote areas where and around the world access to better care. Likewise, easier access to data helps both doctors and policymakers that can make better informed decisions about how to continue to improve the system. The healthcare professionals on the ground in Africa knows the frustration firsthand. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals, shopping malls equipped with air conditioning, while sweltering medical clinics limp along without it. Much needed medical equipment such as MRI machine getting caught up with the gridlock of international customs. Africa too is confronting an increased demand beyond the treatment of AIDS, malaria, and other communicable disease to address non-communicable ones such as hypertension, which are growing as the middle class increase. And also what I was talking about gender equality, the need for key intervention to mitigate the impact of negative social cultural practice and social inequality that decrease women's access to evidence-based reproductive health services that lead to high rates of maternal mortality is essential in Africa. And as I can understand, I see that there is a very good opportunity for entrepreneurs to enter in the health delivery space in Africa, as Gita has already mentioned in her presentation. What are the key challenges we are facing now to scale up sustainable growth in the sector of healthcare services in Africa? I find that we have four main challenges I can highlight today in my presentation. Worker shortage. I find that first point, the number, quality, and capacity of healthcare workers across the countries as a ratio to the population is too low. And this is very important when we want to improve the healthcare services and to bring households, healthcare in our households. We need to have those quality of healthcare workers that are in place in the continent that can be able to deliver the best quality service we can have into the continent. The second challenge I want to highlight is about corruption in the public sector. We know that in Africa, mostly the healthcare service is delivered by the public sector. And corruption diverts much needed resources away from healthcare delivery and reduce patient access to services. And this is a very critical issue we are facing now as entrepreneurs, but also as public service and non-civil society organizations in the continent. I also already mentioned about counterfeit drugs. This is a very key issue in African continent now. And a darker consequence of the rise of technology is that it enables counterfeiters to run even more sophisticated operations and make counterfeit drugs that's harder to detect. And the last challenge I want to highlight today is the changing medical needs of the population. Most medical care solutions is lending now to malaria, HIV, but because the lifestyle is changing in the continent now, we are going to have a rising middle class in the continent. New diseases are now coming in the medical and healthcare sector, and that we need to see how we can also contribute to overcome those challenges. Next. What are the recommendations I can propose in that situation? The first is the government side. Gita said that we need to have an enable environment. I find that the government is responsible to ensure that everyone has access to healthcare. And I don't think that healthcare is a public good that is sole responsibility of the government. And there should be an opportunity for entrepreneurs also to provide, to enter in the healthcare service in Africa. But unfortunately, due to aid and its influence in the sector in Africa, we are in the situation where it's very difficult sometimes to find opportunities to entrepreneurs to go into the healthcare sector. Why we as AUTech members are active in the healthcare industry and how technology can influence that sector. I think that technology has a very, very good opportunity right now. Fewer than 50% of Africa has access to modern healthcare facilities. And this is important to see how we can improve access to technology in the continent and to see how we can bring tech solutions to drive and to make access and cheaper the healthcare services in the continent. Third thing I want to propose as a solution is about clean cooking role in healthcare, healthy African household. We know that most of 700 million of African women are using traditional cooking solution that can bring is not this issue is not a climate issue, is also a healthy solution. And what I want to say that if we can be able to bring clean cooking solution in the continent of Africa, we can be able to change the narrative and bringing healthy solution. And that's the price of the market transformation to clean stove with clean fuel sold supported the ideal when produced locally. And not only would such a transformation produce huge health improvement, but it would also create multiple business opportunities and jobs for women and young people inside the continent. That I said, we have a young continent already outlined for over panelists, but we think that this solution is one-in-one that can bring also not only for SDG 3, but from SDG 1 to SDG 17, this solution can be a very big solution to bring, healthy African household for our continent. And thank you very much for your attention and open for discussion about my free solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I like your passion about the clean cooking initiative in Africa. I think working with women in most rural communities, you notice that a lot of them suffer from pulmonary diseases and itchy eyes caused by smoke caused by using wood as a source of fuel. And so clean cooking techniques will go a long way into cutting pulmonary diseases and also making work in the kitchen more comfortable. And Bhavan, finally to you, I can see that you're still joined in audio. I'm going to promote you to moderator one more time. And maybe in the meantime, I'll just give you a chat. So if you look at my chat, Dr. Bhavan, I'll be able to, okay. He's not here at the moment. I think he'll be back with us. I can see you, but I don't know why. Oh, I can see now. I'll just give you a code so that you can enter with it in the Africa Alliance room. So please, will you go back outside of the room, enter the code at the moderator's code box, and then enter your name so that you can be able to join the meeting with your microphone on. Will you do that? Maybe give me a thumbs up or something if you've seen the chat. Dr. Bhavan? Maybe give me a thumbs up or something if you've seen my message. I've given you a moderator's code to join this meeting. Okay, so you've seen it. So just go out and then enter it, Africa Alliance room, enter the moderator's code, and then click enter, then type in your name and join the meeting. And in the meantime, as you're waiting for...
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I can see you
now.
Perfect. I can hear you now.
Okay.
What a relief. Just put up your slides immediately so that in the interest of time, I'm going to
Okay.
mute myself. Let me take back presenter rights. I'm going to mute
Can
myself.
you,
Please, when you see your presentation up, take the floor, okay?
yes. Can you see my presentation? Hello?
No, I'm going to load it. I'll upload it from my side.
Okay, fine. No worries.
Okay. Sure. When you see it up, please take the floor.
No worries. So let me just introduce. My name is Bhavan. I am a rehabilitation professional. I was working in Kenya for over 6 years. I've been traveling from Uganda, Zambia, Tanzania, South Sudan to understand the needs of the, the local people, and my focus will be giving them the more efficient and effective healthcare in terms of which can sustain. So let me just start with, I will not produce much of the data because I guess Geeta and everybody have given the data, which is much more important. So I will just talk more about that, what is needed uh, in terms of more of preventive and like promotive healthcare rather than only the curative part. Uh, the rehab is basically still untouched area in the whole of African region, which has not been like populated in terms of giving away the awareness about it. And most of the consumers or the client, first we need to understand that what are the requirements. So like working in Kenya, like physiotherapy, I only understand as a massage. So like it took me almost 4 years to tell my clients and the population that physiotherapy is not massage. Even with AMREF, I'm sure that they are running the university and the college of physiotherapy. It may find a lot of challenges to get more evidence-based practice in terms of knowledge sharing also, because the uh, image of rehab, it is still been massage. Still there is a lot of awareness needs to be needed in that sense, and I hope that we also need to take the matter into the consideration that we are not only talked about HIV, AIDS, or TB or diarrhea. There are not many things which can be just talked about. So first, if I talk about it like a techno base, first we need to enhance the personalized experience, and the second thing is how we need to empower the consumers, because like working in a like private organization, we always think about the revenue generation model. Where do I get the money out? So that is the like first priority of no no most of all people. And like second thing is how we need to come with the idea of PPP, that's your like public private partnership. So like so many times the end users are not getting the enough when the like international NGOs or organization, when they comes to the funding part, and like when we see the end users using material, the it like quite difference are there. So we first need to get that how we need to empower our consumers, and how we like in future that how we get the success once the clients are getting more and more services. Can you move ahead? Next slide, please. Sorry, can you move ahead?
Someone has taken the presenter rights from me. I don't know who is that. Or I just upload again my screen from my side. Have you taken the presenter rights? I don't know who has. I was sharing my screen, but I cannot share my screen. Okay. Then I'll start sharing again, okay?
Yeah, no, you can just go to the slide 3. So like first of all, we uh, in my experience being into Africa, that we need to change our perception of delivering the information. First of all, that how we deliver the information needs to be more visuals and more creative, in the sense that the local population can able to understand better. uh, as we see that the mobile penetration rate had been increased in Africa, but again in terms of data, I will not talk much about it. But in terms of the revenue generation and in terms of the client connectivity, we are still mainly focusing on doctors booking. We are not focusing on patient experience or patient empowerment. Even uh, in Kenya, we have been experiencing so many applications on mobile which can give the digital booking and everything. But if we see on the other part, we don't have something which can empower the client in terms of information. So if I talk about if somebody is having asthma or maybe some kind of uh, liver disease, okay, we don't have something like a community base or support group which can have a free information or something. So we are not empowering our consumers by giving them awareness about the disease or about the management. So we are just trying to connect to medical or to non-medical professionals, but we are not empowering them with the valid information. uh, can you go ahead, please? Okay, so when we talk about digital health, what we are mainly focusing is only telemedicine in M Health. So like Kenya is doing very good with the M Health, and I'm sure they're doing very well with the mobile money and other stuff, and also e-pharmacy. So like My Dawa is again a portal which can give a like a pharmacy in house. So there are so many things which is going on right now, but we still needs to more. Think about that how we need to aggregate our health services and how we can get the better patient doctor relationship. Please go ahead. So as we think that compulsion is the father of all, so we as been like African citizens, we many times get more innovations, but we have not been executed well. Either we don't have much of the resources, or either we are not being connected with the right organization or the professionals. So here that even if I can give an example, there is a Ugandan citizen who have invented the pneumonia diagnostic unit, or as a jacket, which has been used widely now in states, but which has not been used in Africa in terms of resource management or in terms of revenue generating model. So we have the resources, but we are not trying to aggregate in a different manner so that it is more sustainable and more easily available for the African people. Even for rehabilitation part, even in Africa, rehabilitation services are insufficient and inadequate, which is, if I say only like below 30 to 40% of the whole population is getting the services in rehab. So we need to think out of the box that how we need to provide rehab uh, in terms of telemedicine, in terms of collaboration with international organizations, or how we think that we integrate the different models with the partnership of the government so that we can also connect with the SDG. Even like universal healthcare, there is a much of the provision of rehabilitation, but still it has not been executed well in Kenya even. So that we need to more focusing on. Can you move ahead, please? Okay, so we as a health professionals, we are not seeing our client as a consumers, because there is still a doctor-patient relationship still is there. So that kind of health touch we need to develop differently, which meets the consumer's expectations in terms of making their uh, wellness goals more personalized. We need to transfer today's wellness into the system, into the future perspective. So in terms of a Kenyan example, I can give, there is a like fall prevention strategy. So like none of the hospital is now following the fall prevention strategy in terms of flagging the clients on admission. So there are incidences of fall prevention inside the hospital or the client when they reach the home. So in this transition, if we try to just collaborate or integrate fall prevention strategy in terms of data collection, we can try to minimize or reduce fall prevention in hospital-based clients or also in the community. So how we empower or educate our health professionals also make a lot of difference. Now, other thing is we also need to empower, yes. Yeah, so we also need to empower our health professional. Even if you go to any African countries, which in my experience, none of the doctors, they are easily, readily now referring the clients. So there is a two way of understanding. The first is either the rehab professional do not have enough knowledge to integrate, or second thing, the doctors do not have enough knowledge that what a rehab professional can do. So we first need to spread awareness about these two things, that how we integrate these two professionals in a way that our consumers or the clients get the better outcomes. Please move ahead. So we are just trying to collaborate with US or Germany. These two are the main end users based application. So this what is basically they are into the business of orthopedic and pain management. So we need to integrate as a pain management professional from the side of communication to the patient or consumers like attention. As an example, when we go to the like orthopedic surgeon with the back pain, most of them they will tell that go for the MRI. Even they don't follow the WHO guidelines that you should not go for the MRI until you have the pain for 6 to 8 weeks. And how we communicate with the client makes a lot of difference. So if I tell a client that your disc has been slipped, the insight of a client will perceive differently. So even the pain management right now has been changed a lot, but still we are following the old bookish knowledge and we are not changing the way we need to think about. So this kind of knowledge and digitalization can also make our doctors and our rehab professionals more empowered so that we can give more to our clients and the consumers. How we need to integrate AI is again a wise decision to empower our professional with knowledge, and how we can connect with the developed world, so that it's supposed to be integrated in a way that we give the universal rehab. So we talk about universal health, but we do not talk about universal rehab. So now there is a particular things that we need to talk more about it. Please go ahead. Okay, now the third thing, in my experience, we think mainly about the young populations. As Geeta is told that Africa would be the most youngest populations, but we never thought about that how we need to target the geriatric clients. Even the old age homes in Kenya have 200 waitings. So how we think about the old age population, because people are moving out of Africa, but the old generation are still keeping themselves in Africa. So how we need to think about them? Can we make something like more ergonomically based application or websites, or can we make our digitalization more equally relevant to all clients? So now these also things needs to be more talked about as more ideologies in terms of digital health. We about this, that how we need to include the all the population from the youngest to the like old age, as we don't have something for asthma for kids. So can we do something for them as to reduce the incidence and to spread more awareness about them? So we as a tech developer need to think out of the box, that how we can try to empower differently, not going with the cat race that what people are doing it. Now we can find like 10 number of applications that we can book for the doctors, but we don't have a single app for give information for kids asthma, or maybe something for geriatric care, or how to prevent the fall. So we can focusing more on that also. Can you just move ahead? I hope I'm talking more about minuses than plus. So it may make sense that it's more that what my experience being into like Kenya and other African countries, I'm more speaking on that. Can you guys move ahead, please?
Sure. So we are about to wrap up in maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So maybe if we
No
can
worries.
wrap it up for in like 2
Yes.
minutes or something. Yeah, so
Yes,
that I
I'm
can
just
also present the speaker's certificates.
perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, I'm just running it fast away. No worries. You can go ahead. Just a few slides, yes. Okay, so this is something that, yeah. So this is just a small device that one can do a PFT at home, and maybe a doctor or a therapist can be connected, and we can get a data out of it, and we can manage it online. So this is something that we can also integrate with the more sustainable way, with innovations and with more readily sustainable cost effectiveness equipment. We can do this in Africa, that we can reduce TB, we can reduce pneumonia related dates in African countries. Please go ahead. So we need to think more about consumer centric and consumer enable. Right now we are more think about revenue based and doctor enable health system, not the consumer centric. Again, go ahead. Okay, so we need to make more room for innovation. There is still a bias in that sense in terms of African and like other developed countries, that we are not getting enough room to make innovation and to get connect with the people. So I still request that we should have a more room for innovation. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, so now these are the things that we need to more rise upon. The first thing is the trust, that doctor, patient, and the clients needs to engage in a way that we are still connected with the trust. There is a lot of misinformation which has been spread during COVID time generally about COVID and other things. So we as a healthcare professional need to understand that how we can minimize this spreading of this medical misinformation. We also need to reduce the cost on the client basis. We need to use social media differently, that how to make more efficient way. And of course, yes, we need to spread awareness more about digital literacy. Again, move ahead. Okay, so what we can, as a leader of health, can think about, we need to reimagine, we need to be more content related. We still need to give the ownership to local African people. We are still inviting and we are most welcoming all of them, but we as a African build people need to take the ownership to collaborate, to associate, and to invent. Please move ahead. Okay, so this is my short and very hard one, I guess, but there is something which is more needed in Africa. So yeah, you can be connected on this email ID. And right now I am working with the Tatwa Care in India, which is a healthcare app. We are mainly focusing to enhance the doctor and patient experience. And yes, we'll be coming with some new innovations in few months. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Beban. We are like 5 minutes to the end of our webinar here today, but I just wanted to ask, maybe to throw 1 or 2 questions to our panels today. Maybe if we just ask Gita, for example, what are the critical factors for health businesses to succeed in Africa?
I think there's probably 3 things that I would raise. The first of which is to ensure that you are looking at your health business from end to end. So you need to really look at the entire value chain and understand what it is that's needed as your inputs and how you're going to participate in getting that good a service to the end client, and in a way that is considered as a second point of the impact it's going to have on them on the longer term. So if you're only providing, for example, diagnostic solution, how are you connecting with treatment solutions? You need to help ensure that you're not providing a fragmented service or a fragmented product. And the third thing here for me is to not have the fear to try new things and to try and enter new markets, just making sure that you are collaborating with companies and individuals who are based in these markets is a critical success factor.
Thank you very much for that, Gita. I already see our my colleague Benedict is here with us. He's going to present the 3 certificates to our panelists here today. But before he does that, Isika is joining on audio. Maybe one more question to Bhavan. How to make digital healthcare sustainable in the context of the Pan-African healthcare region?
Okay. As we talked about that, we need to empower the locals and we need to give the ownership to the local professionals and spread more awareness in terms of we need associations, we need collaborations, but we also need the local ownership. And I'm sure Amref is doing very good in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. To our panelists here today, please feel free to leave your email addresses in the chat so that our audience can reach out to you in case of a question that has not been addressed here today because of the time constraint. But I'll give the floor now to Benedict. Please, welcome.
Svetlana, thank you very much for having me. My name is Benedict Wilson. I'm Vice President of the European Senate of Economy and Technology, and I'm happy to present a little gift for our guests, for our panelists, for you at the end of the session. As you might heard at the beginning of this webinar, EUTech is one of the world's leading tech network united by this vision. Technology obliges, started in Europe in 2015 to unite the enterprises behind this vision and to help them to reach our 3 major goals: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability through new technology solutions. So the Senate, the European Senate of Economy and Technology, is like an exclusive advisory board of this network. It's like based on the old principles of the Roman Senate. It brings together leaders from economy, from science, and from politics to advise how to make the best use of technology for mankind. Now I want, let's come to our little gift, just to have a few information about Senate and EUTech. So thank you very much for being here again. As I mentioned, well, as you can imagine, climate protection is not only one of the biggest goals of the United Nations, but also of us, and therefore we are very active. So EUTech and Senate have an own climate action partnership. And I would like to thank you also on behalf of EUTech and the Presidium of the European Senate for your contribution. And here we are. Here are the pre-certificates. Here with the European Technology Chamber confirms that a tree for Gita, a tree for Bhavan, and a tree for Caroline, and a tree for Kasum has been planted in Africa by EUTech Africa Partnership. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate this great panel. I think there were a lot of good points to discuss about further. And now, ladies and gentlemen, have a great time. That was my short part at the end of this webinar of the Africa Alliance. And now we have to the point 10:30, and I think for the last words, the honor for the last words belongs to you, Svetlana. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Benedict. Very special thanks to our panelists for joining us, for making the time, for preparing the slides, and for your coordination. They were well appreciated. Look out for the tree certificate. It will be sent to your mails soon. And also for the debrief, which will be posted on LinkedIn. And yeah, for that, thank you so much for our audience. I've posted in the chat my email addresses, the Africa Alliance homepage, the Africa Alliance LinkedIn group. Let's keep in contact. Please, for the Africa Alliance LinkedIn group, you can update developments from the site at any time, as well as keep up to date with the the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for today. Our next activity will be on April 27th, which will be our working group. I'll be sending you an invite soon. I'd love to see you all. We'll be having a panelist from Africa on the Last Mile Initiative. Our webinar right now has come to an end. I'd like to thank you so much, and then you're closing in about 5 seconds. So bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Hello, Svetlana. Okay, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was just clearing the chat. Can I stop recording now? Hello, Asmat, I can hear you.
About the regarding, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I was asking.
I was
Okay,
just
I was asking about the stopping the recording.
some.
So,
Oh, I've stopped it already.
okay, I have to stop.